So hi and welcome to the Achieve Real Estate Podcast. This is our Lansing Local Landlord Series, or LLL. I am your host, David Hall, broker here at Achieve Lansing, investor, developer, landlord, and flipper. The goal of this podcast is to help local investors learn about each other, spread their brand, haves and wants, and better set up our monthly networking events to be more productive and more profitable. Today we have Sam Hoag. I get that right this time? All right.
Close.
No, I didn't.
Close.
All right, well, I'm trying. We have Sam, who's been coming to our real estate meetups for a few years. He joined our brokerage recently. You've been licensed for how many years?
See, 5 years.
5 years, okay. Licensed for 5 years, and he has a unique blend of experience from, you've done renovations, you've done construction, you've done, you own a handful of rentals. We'll get into all that. So I'll let him dive into all that. So welcome, Sam.
Thank you, David. Glad to be here.
So so if you want to start out with just what is quick background, how and why you got started in real estate.
Yeah, so grew up right around like 25 minutes south of here, a little town called Olivet. I guess background that kind of relates to the industry that I'm in now, in real estate. Would go around with my dad and grandpa a fair amount, helping them kind of renovate a couple of properties that they had. So at an early age, kind of got that experience as far as looking at what's wrong in a house and then doing the actual work. Mm-hmm. In the moment, I really hated it. I'll tell you what, I really hated it. But fast forward into the future, learned a lot of good skills that are benefiting me now because of that. So it's thankful for that. And that kind of led me to appreciating real estate, homes, helping people find new places to live, just being able to meet new people. This business is definitely all relationships at the end of the day, and communication. I would say that, so I got licensed about 5 years ago. I have some experience in the commercial roofing industry as well. Still have a company and help out, do a lot of larger scale restoration work, mostly commercial and industrial. With that, was really able to get a good perception on how business owners and investors really look at an asset and kind of determine what variables to take care of and how to break down certain elements in the properties that they own. In the commercial roofing industry, more or less the roof, but with that came a whole bunch of other jobs and things that it was just a really good learning experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious, you grew up in real estate, didn't like it, and then ended up in real estate. What changed between not liking it to getting into it?
Yeah, so I guess, as a kid, it was, doing the work, like ripping out the old carpet, putting it back down, putting in toilets and whatnot. I didn't like that. It's a funny story. It kind of actually led me into the commercial roofing industry when my father's friend at the time was moving to Michigan to do some summer work on some factory roofs and whatnot. But again, we were always bouncing around between the houses that we had to work on. So I just thought from kind of like maybe 17, 18 years old, I was like, it makes more sense to have more properties in one spot, stop driving between, all these properties. And so that was kind of a segue into me choosing to get into that commercial roofing industry, was to be able to offer a service for commercial properties, whether it be, apartment complexes, hotels, warehouses and whatnot. And then to kind of use that as a way to have like a foot in the door that wasn't directly related to like real estate transactions and whatnot, but building that network. It's all network, right? I'm sure you can probably agree with that.
Yeah.
And then so what kind of got me back into it was just kind of appreciating the work, if that makes sense, and really getting fulfilled with, being able to call a client and, deliver them the good news that their offer was accepted, being able to kind of take somebody, whether it be a first-time home buyer, a person just looking to upgrade to for a bigger home, a family, or an investor, just kind of really figure out what they're looking to do and then just do everything in my power and my network to kind of help them get to that point. I think it's fun. It's not always fun in the moment, right? Because nothing always goes well in this business, but it's nice when it does. But generally, you got to be adaptive. You got to be forward thinking. You got to kind of think outside the box a lot of times in this business. So it's fun.
Yeah.
I guess I would say learning the game. Once I kind of learn the game, even though I still have very much more to learn, at least kind of the baseline foundation of the rules of the game.
Then now you start liking it.
Yeah, it made it more fun to play.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. All right. Well, so that's kind of how you got started. What are you excited about now, or what are you working towards at the moment?
Yeah, so a couple of interesting projects. Putting together some kind of pre-built lots, 12 acres kind of between Lansing and Jackson. We're kind of working through the initial site plans and blueprints and whatnot. Doing another one from a listing I'm going to be having here in a couple weeks. It's out by Silver Lake. That one's going to be an interesting one because we're kind of building it with the intention of having the offer be, multi-purpose to the buyer. Meaning, hey, they get a new place with a brand new house, and then they can also, it's in a very popular like vacation rental spot. So it's going to be cool to kind of take more of the investor approach, the investor agent approach to market it and to find a buyer that's interested to, rent it out when they're not there to just generate more income. It's a pretty long, busy season up in that Silver Lake sand dunes. I'm not sure if anyone's been there, but it's an awesome spot. If you haven't been, highly recommend it. It opened up this month, and it goes just till about the end of October, so pretty good season there. A couple more things, just always looking for, off-market deals and trying to add more to the portfolio.
You just bought one not too long ago for yourself, right?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. And are you flipping that one, or that's going to be a rental?
I'm going to keep that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to keep that one for a long time.
Real quick, how did you find that one? And fund it and all that?
Yeah, so it was I actually saw it on a website called Investor Fuel.
Investor Lift?
Investor Lift.
Yeah.
And I was actually looking at another property at the time. And this one popped up, and it's very kind of rare that you see stuff. I'm from a small town, Olivet. It's really rare you see opportunities like that. I thought it was fake. Even after talking to the wholesaler a couple of times, I still was kind of like, man, is this really, is this going to work out? From the point of talking to the wholesaler to kind of getting the funding to buying it, I want to say it was within less than 2 weeks. So we moved pretty quick on it.
When you say getting the funding, I got to ask, was it you just had money sitting around, cash, or you brought on an investor or bank, or how'd you finance it?
So we actually, my wife and I, we had some equity built up in our home, so we pulled some of that out.
Awesome. And so you essentially bought it with cash, but using your home equity. Okay.
Yep.
Great strategy. Then you can be your own private investor, right? So you finish it, you refinance it, pay yourself back, keep the asset, and on it goes.
So I'll be refinancing that here this August.
Cool. Very cool. So you've been around Lansing, you've been doing a lot of things, you have some things going on as an agent. Bringing it back to the meetups here, you've been attending the Achieve real estate meetups for a long time. Why do you come to the events, and what do you think the greatest value is to coming to the events?
Yeah, so I can remember the first event that I came to. I want to say it was back in 2019. I think I saw your posting on Bigger Pockets, I believe it was. And that was the first time that we met, and that was my first time kind of getting a good feel for who were the players in the area, the speakers and stuff over the years. It's a great networking event. It's a great place to come and learn. Every month, there's always a different speaker kind of touching on an element or an aspect of the business. It's been super beneficial to me. Been able to meet other local investors in the area, kind of build that network and kind of be drawn into that network of everything. That's been great. It's super beneficial to, in my opinion, collaboration. I'm always going to lean towards that over competition, right? So, even though there's, a handful of investors all kind of looking to do the same thing, not always the same thing, there's different exit strategies that people have in the area and whatnot, but I just enjoy learning and hearing kind of situational perspectives or insights that one has done on a property or a deal and whatnot, and learning from that, like to, because I don't want to make that mistake, so let me just listen to this guy's story and then do it differently. I think there's like a very powerful kind of opportunity in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
Just learning from other people, more experienced investors, to kind of, collapse that gap into where I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, or even sometimes inexperienced investors. Someone shows up and they say, "Oh, I use this bank and they have a great program." It's like, "Oh, I didn't know that," and they're right down the street.
Exactly. So, yeah. Even some investors that just have one or two or just getting in can definitely learn a lot from everybody that shows up. I think that's the beauty of it. And, it's been awesome. The last meetup was great. Looking forward to this one. What, next week?
Yep, next week. Yep. The last Thursday of each month.
Yep.
So.
And then the first Tuesday of each month, we also have a real estate and coffee.
Yep, that's also hosted here. Yeah,
and those have been great as well too. So, yeah,
right.
Looking forward to having more meetings. And
yeah. Well, speaking of networking and learning, what's the biggest lesson you've learned that maybe you could share on? Maybe someone hasn't gotten into real estate yet and they're thinking of it. What's the greatest lesson you've learned, or a recent lesson you've learned?
Yeah, the greatest lesson. It's kind of a loaded question. I would say, from like an overall perspective, is again kind of going back to the relationships that you have. Mm-hmm. To communicate, and nurture those relationships and provide value. To have that reciprocal relationship. I would say early on when I was trying to, kind of make a name for myself and whatnot, I would get too caught up in different options, analysis paralysis. Mm-hmm. So I would say the biggest lesson that I've learned is just speed to action.
Yeah.
I want to say I told myself I was going to buy a property for probably about almost 2 to 3 years before I actually did.
Yeah.
And if I just would have took more action and did less thinking
yeah.
and overthinking,
mm-hmm.
Probably could have got those quicker. And
yeah.
whatnot. So that's the biggest lesson, is communication, really just appreciating your network and the relationships that you build, and then just trying to, give value as much as you can, because it'll always come back, right? And what else? Marketing's huge. That's another thing I've been working on, getting my marketing more dialed in,
mm-hmm.
creating more content.
Yeah,
like this.
Yeah, content is key.
It is, especially in this age of everyone being on their phones.
It's a different way of communication. It used to be that the only place to meet people was one-on-one or in person. Now it's like you can meet people through this avenue, which is why we're starting this. But
certainly.
So being that it's the local landlords, is there any local referrals that you could share with the audience here? If there's someone just getting started or just moved to town, knows nobody, who is a referral that you could point them to for any aspect?
Okay. I would say I had a good experience with the last HVAC contractor that I had.
Okay.
His name is Dale Dixon.
Okay.
Dixon Mechanical.
Okay. Where are they, out of Lansing or?
Out of Charlotte.
Charlotte. Okay. Dixon Mechanical out of Charlotte. Okay.
Dale Dixon. Yeah, he was great. Gave me good insights, to the questions that I had regarding a project that I'm managing
mm-hmm.
on State Street, and Dale Dixon. I would say that would be a good. Can I only have one referral, or?
Yeah, no, if you have more, yeah.
I have more. That's the problem, is I don't know who to choose from. So an inspector named Dan Wiles.
Okay, just a home inspector?
Home inspector.
Okay.
He's also a licensed builder, and does remodeling projects. He's great because he's seen it all. Can really just give you a really good rundown on what you're looking at in case it's maybe something you're not too familiar with. So if you don't come from kind of having a background of construction and really being able to identify certain problems in certain areas, he's a great resource to just get a lot of knowledge from.
Yeah.
He's great. Yeah. Dan Wiles with, I think it's Wiles Inspection Services.
Good. Cool. Yeah. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
So how can people get in touch with you if they say, I want to talk to Sam about that, or have an additional question?
For sure. Yeah, so you can go to my website. It's propertysam.com.
Propertysam.com. I like that.
Yeah. It's propertysam.com. You can go to the website. You can kind of check me out and then see my the stuff I've done the past couple of years in the business. And always happy to connect with other investors. I actually love doing that. I like human behavior in general, so in psychology. So I just like meeting new people and kind of hearing their story,
Mhm.
going back to, building relationships. I think that's huge.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so if you have questions, you see this, you have questions, you want to connect, yeah, go to propertysam.com, just fill out a spot in my calendar and let's chat.
Okay, anything else you want to share or add that I might not have asked you?
I don't know.
We can cut out all the ums and stuff in between.
I know, I'm umming a lot. Let's see. I don't know. Throw me like a interesting question.
I don't know, we talked about lessons learned, like what's the worst deal you've ever bought, best deal you've ever bought, or the advantages of buying in a small market, disadvantages.
I'll give you a quick story. So I worked for a real estate developer in the area when I was super young. I want to say maybe 20, 21. And that was a great lesson learned, let me tell you, because he actually never paid me for what I did. And so I worked with him for about 3 or 4 months and owed me a pretty significant amount of money. And early on, I was able to kind of, after that experience, listen to your gut.
Yeah.
You got to have trust in this business. Again, going back to relationships. And I was a young kid, just ready to make a name for myself and just put my head down and work. And that's exactly what I was doing for that gentleman. And then, stuff went sideways and never got paid. And then come to find out, he actually did that to a lot of other people in the area.
Well,
Yeah. So that was a big lesson, is really kind of observing somebody, really kind of identifying what's important to them, their core values. Do they have integrity? Are they a good leader? And just listening to your gut. Because in this business there are a lot of shysters.
Yeah.
You got to be super careful of that. I mean, there's a lot in the sense of, like there is in any industry. There's also, I would say, there's more competent, trustworthy, credible business owners and investors, more so than there are the bad ones. But that was a big lesson. It really was, and I don't want to kind of overly talk about that one, but it definitely gave me kind of intuitive observation to reflect back on and kind of, hey, how do you weed out the snakes in the grass?
Yeah, well, you said referrals and networking is a big part of it. That's, I think, another strength of coming to a regular group is if there's people that regularly show up, you can kind of chat with them about other people from the group and say they might have a good feeling for that guy, or no one really likes that other guy or whatever, so you can kind of learn the who's, but also the ones that are good to work with and that you should pursue a relationship with, and the other ones that you can keep at a distance. 100%.
And I'll never say anybody behind someone's back that I won't say to their face, but I'll always be honest.
Yeah.
Sometimes people don't like the honesty.
Yeah.
It's just,
sometimes it's needed.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast. These are kind of introductory, so we're working the kinks out, so thank you. And thanks for listening to the Achieve Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, David Hall. If you're interested in attending the next meetup, search Achieve Real Estate Investors on Facebook. That's where I post all of the events. You can join the group and you'll see all the details with the upcoming speakers, opportunities for connections. Let us help you grow on your real estate journey and achieve your goals through the power of real estate. So thank you.